Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Hey, this is our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here for a Tuesday edition episode. Well, today is one of those days where I'm just going to talk about whatever I want. I'm going to talk about what's going on right here in Idaho on our farm here in Kuna. That is K-U-N-A, everybody, Kuna, Idaho. And we're just going to kind of touch you up on what's been going on. It's just an exciting time of year for me and for us here on our little farm. Well, to start off, oh my goodness, we've got snow in the Rocky Mountains. And you know, it is that time of year, possibly my favorite time of the year, but it is definitely a little bit early this year. And for the last 2 mornings, I've been getting up, going out irrigating, going out and feeding, and I have been stepping on ice in the grass. So we are already having lows down in the freezing level, and it is early for us on that. I am recording this on September 30th, so a day before it comes out. So we're not even into October yet, and we're already freezing, and that's kind of cool, although it's early. Now, right now, this starts probably 5 to 6 of the most, I'd say the most glorious weeks of the year if you live or exist here in Southwest Idaho. We get crisp mornings, beautiful clear days with bright blue skies and cool evenings. And I will tell you that October is just absolutely spectacular here in Southwest Idaho. No question about that, but we are a little bit ahead of schedule. Actually, looking at social media over the weekend, there were a lot of people posting pictures of mountaintops with snow on them all around our area here. And right now it's bow season, so people are out bow hunting or they're out scouting for rifle season for elk and for deer. And so there's lots of people out there, and they're seeing the snow falling at those higher elevations already, and they're snapping pictures and putting them up. But hey, not too far from here, just over in eastern Idaho and up in northwest Montana, man, they're just getting dumped on, or they got dumped on over the weekend with snow. They're measuring snow up there this weekend in feet. Even a couple counties in Montana were declared emergency areas, or I guess states of emergency were declared because of so much snow so early in the season. You know, not all the leaves are off the trees. That can bring a lot of limbs and things like that down on power lines. So it's early. It is early, but I will tell you that it's a great time of year. And if you are a regular listener to the show, you've heard me complain about irrigating a million times. I know I should not look that gift horse in the mouth. I know. But it is a big pain in the butt sometimes. And so I have complained about it several times. But this morning was actually my official end of irrigation. So our irrigation water is going to be shut off on October 7th, just 7 days from now. But I went ahead and finished up today. We've been having really cool temperatures. I've got great soil moisture. The days are shorter, so I think I'm good. It's not like I've got crops that are still needing the water. Our alfalfa is doing really well. We'll be grazing that after we get our first hard freeze, and our pasture is just slowed way down. It's not really growing very much anymore. So I got to cross it all, across the alfalfa and across the pasture again with some water. But really, that's as much as I'm doing, and I am done. So I am done for 6 months, 6 months without irrigating till we get into late March next year, early April, just depending on how the spring is going. So, wow, it's always an interesting time of year. That the stop of irrigation always kind of marks the passing of the season for me on the farm. And that is one of the things I love about the farm is how everything changes. 3-4 times a year, maybe a little bit more depending on where you're at and how you assess those changes, but at least 4 times per year where I'm at. We get 4 distinct seasons, and everything changes, and it kind of refreshes you 4 times a year. Starts you over on something new, something exciting, changes up what you have to do. I really like that. So I was out feeding the pigs this morning, and the pig pen, it happens to be right near our irrigation pump. And our irrigation water, the way it works is we have a ditch rider who goes up and down our canals and opens the head gates for us and lets us have water or shuts it off when we're done. And what you have to do is you have to submit a card. So you actually have to fill out a card, tell them how much water you want, when you want it to turn on, when you want it to shut off. And so I had submitted a card for our water to be shut off this morning. And our ditch rider usually gets to our head gate at about 6:30 in the morning. And I was out there this morning feeding pigs, and it was pretty. It was cold, cold for this time of year. Not cold for what it's going to be, but it was cold for this time of year. There was a little bit of mist out there. It was dark. I had a headlamp on, and you could kind of see that mist, a little bit of fog and that cold temperature. And I got down to the pig pen, and the pig pen's right by the pump, so I set down the pig feed and started to walk over to the pump to go ahead and shut it off because I was done for the season. But I had it set to auto or to auto shut off, which if there's any drop in pressure, it'll kick the pump off so your pump doesn't burn up. And right about that time, our ditch rider had made it to our head gate, shut off the water supply, and right as I was kind of walking towards the pump, I could hear the tone of the pump change, and I could hear that it started to pull a little bit of air, and the pressure dropped, and then bam, it shut off. And it was kind of, I don't know, it was symbolic almost to the end of the summer season, at least for us on our farm with what we do, which is mostly livestock. It was just kind of symbolic to the end of the season. All of a sudden, the pump shut off. It got really quiet. I could hear the pigs getting up, getting ready to get fed. I could hear the rooster off in the distance a little bit, and the creek down there by the pump just kind of trickling by. And it was really symbolic. I just kind of sat there and just took it all in for a minute. I just really, really enjoyed that moment of silence, or that moment of hearing farm noises, but no electronic pump running, and knowing that irrigation season had come to an end. And I like seeing the fact that my automatic shutoff worked too. That's a good thing to know, to kind of, safety check that thing. So I really enjoyed that, and just kind of sat there and soaked it all in. The sun was just barely breaking through, getting to be dawn just a little bit, and it was kind of nice. So really, that kind of marks a shift from active farming for me to more of a maintenance routine. And again, we're not a large farm. We're 25 acres. We've got mostly livestock. We do grow some hay, but I'm done cutting hay for the year. We're going to graze the rest off, like I said, after it freezes. So really, I go from a more active role to a more maintenance role now on our place, on our little niche we've got going on here. And, I love that change. I love how in agriculture, we're outside, we're working in the weather, and every season brings us something new. There's something I love about every single season. I love feeding hay on snow in the winter and watching the cows line out on the snow. I love looking at calves running around in tall grass in the spring. And here in the summer, I love it at 10:30 at night when we're still in twilight and it's 80 degrees and it's warm out. Those are real special nights. There's just something about every single season that I really enjoy here. And, I still have several projects I want to get done before the ground freezes this winter, but the final day of irrigation really is a significant marker of the transition that we go through every fall. And our focus now is going to shift mostly to bedding and feeding animals for the winter. The slow cooker comes out, and our dinners become heavier with soups and stews and roasts and fresh baked bread and all sorts of stuff. And most evenings you can find us all gathered in front of our fire, watching TV or reading or playing board games or something together as the days get a lot shorter. And, it's funny. Somehow the seasons are timed out just perfectly. I mean, just when you start to grow tired or a little bit bored with the season that you're in, you just kind of seem to break into the next one. You just kind of seem to get into that. And I don't know, maybe it's just the thousands of years of living outside and being in tune with the seasons that kind of make it feel like they're timed perfectly, but we're just used to it. We kind of know when to anticipate that change. Either way, it's always an exciting transition for those of us in agriculture. Really, more so than anybody else in the world, just because we stay in such close touch with what's going on outside. And so anyway, for the next several weeks, I get to focus on projects that I really haven't seemed able to get done over the past few months. And I will tell you that working outside on our fall days in October here are absolutely fantastic. I mean, really, working outside is its own reward just for having something to do, to be out there. And just that crisp, cool air. Maybe you're wearing a hoodie, maybe not. And everything just looks so bright. The air is so clean. There's something really, really nice about it. And, you guys, I got to tell you that when I sit down to come up with what I'm going to talk about for these Tuesday episodes, sometimes it's really very easy. I come up with a topic I want to teach or or something like that. And other times I just want to kind of tell you about what's going on with me. And on those days when I'm going to write something where I'm just telling you what's going on with me, I really never know what's going to come out. It's a funny process. It's one that I really enjoy. And so as I was writing this today, the next part I'm going to read you just came out. It just came out. It's just the strangest thing. And I decided I'm going to share it with you. I'm just going to share it with you. I wrote all this down, and then after I got done writing it and I read it, I went, well, does this really fit into my show? But if you're interested in me and what we get to do out here where we live in our part of the country, then it does. And I will tell you, I bet you do, because for me, getting to interview people all over the country, I love it. I feel like I'm so in touch with so many different pieces and parts of the United States, places I've never, ever gone to. Like, I feel that way about Minnesota and Wisconsin. I've interviewed so many students and business owners and other people from Minnesota and Wisconsin that I really feel like I'm in touch with that area, even though I've never set foot in those states other than a layover at the Minneapolis airport, which I don't count. When you're counting states, you can't count layovers. So I don't count that. Those are international waters, in my opinion. But anyway, so never setting a foot in either one of those states, I just feel like I'm in touch with those. I feel like I got these visuals of all these different places of the country because I get to do these interviews with all of you that are out there and hear about where you live and what agriculture is like. And these are the things I would be paying attention to if I was in your state. Anyway, so it's a really neat experience for me. So if you're tuning in, you're probably like that about where I'm at. So I decided to go ahead and read what I wrote here. So I'll just bear with me as I jump into this. So here's basically what I talked about. When I'm not working on the farm, so I'm talking about this fall, by the way. So this fall I've got projects to get going, and a couple I want to get completed before we freeze up. And of course there's feeding cattle and pigs every day, and pretty soon feeding goats. But when I'm done with that farm work, I am going to be taking advantage of the special opportunities that living in the Intermountain West offers. Now, I know that all of us have special opportunities everywhere we live. This is just kind of what it's like to live out where I am at. So I've got an annual trip to Yellowstone National Park coming up with my daughter Hattie. We do this every year, and that's coming up this month. After we're done with that, we are going to be down on the Nevada border, and we're going to be chasing mule deer. Hattie has a great mule deer tag this year, and she has never, ever harvested a big game animal. So it'll be really cool if she gets one, but she got a great tag. And, just a couple of nights ago, last Friday actually, we enjoyed a great Oktoberfest celebration with many of our fellow community members at a deli called Das Alpenhaus in Boise, a German deli, German restaurant. And they put on a great Oktoberfest. Second year in a row we've gone to that one, and I really like their place. Especially after going to Germany, they've got the most authentic German place, I would say, here at least in Boise. There's a great German market out in Nampa, which is not too far from us either. And there's a good German bar in downtown Boise too called Prost. But Das Alpenhaus is very good, really good, authentic German food. But anyway, we went to that. That was great. And, what's interesting about living where we live is how many people come here during the tourist season. And so I welcome all those people with open arms, but it is fun to live here and be here after everybody has left as well. So as I went on here, I wrote that places like the high desert, the Intermountain West, Yellowstone National Park, and Boise are dream destinations for so many people during the vacation season, which generally runs from about Memorial Day to Labor Day. And that is true. Even back when I was a police officer riding my police bicycle on the Greenbelt in Boise during the summer, I would run into people who had taken their vacation just to come and see Boise. And, they come to see the natural wonders, to find adventure on a dusty road out in the desert, or just to walk along the Boise River during the day and enjoy the energy of downtown Boise during the night. There's no question about that. And, all of these places are beautiful during the summer. And that is what brings people in from all over the world, really, to our region. No question about that. But those of us who actually live here and we get to stay here after that season ends, we love the fall. Yellowstone National Park is never better than it is in autumn. No question. The animals are more active during the day because the temperatures are cooler and they feel winter coming on, so they've got to be getting ready. The aspen trees and the other deciduous trees in the park, they turn to gold, and they're up against this background of these green conifers. That's great. The people visiting the park, it's really interesting going over there in October. The people visiting the park, they become kind of like a special fraternity. We're all out there in the cold mornings looking for wildlife, bearing the occasional snowfall over there. And, it's great to be over there with so few people and be inside of one of the greatest natural wonders on earth and just kind of have it to yourself a little bit. There's just so few people. And, coming to Yellowstone in October, it's a strategic decision too. It's planning your trip so you can avoid just the masses of tourists that you would face if you would come in July or something like that. It's maximizing the amount of wildlife you'll see. It's even getting to recognize other vehicles in the park that you've seen the last day or two and then waving to each other when you go by because they recognize you too. And you get a feel for what it would have been like to have visited Yellowstone, say in the 1940s, when it was more remote, more difficult to reach the park, and there were fewer people going out and doing stuff like that. It is really a special time to go to the park. I really enjoy it. And then just being outdoors, or just being in Idaho during the fall, that means finding yourself somewhere at an outdoor party, just like the Oktoberfest party we went to at Das Alpenhaus. You find yourself on a gorgeous evening out with other people, and it means you're there with a group of people who are all like-minded when it comes to how they want to live. Either folks who were lucky enough to be born here, or who chose to move here, and chose the quality of life and the lifestyle that they saw available to them in Boise. And you're all there together because, again, by and large, the people who are here on vacation are gone. They're gone back home because kids are in school. The vacation season is over. And so now you're gathered together with people, and you've got this one major thing in common. And then during hunting season, getting to go up into the high desert or into the mountains of Idaho and chase big game, I mean, it reminds you of traditions, and this is true all over the country, but it's true here too. Reminds you of traditions that are centuries old, maybe millenniums old. Like we've got a lot of people here that like to hunt with a traditional bow and arrow. And man, just to feel that connection with the tribes that used to be hunting out here. And, if you hunt with a rifle, all the nostalgia that goes with that, and thinking back to our grandparents who hunted, in the early 1900s, in the early 20th century, the mid 20th century, and just trying to imagine the hunting that they saw back then. It's really, really cool. And, as a hunter here in the Intermountain West, you're just part of a special subculture of people, and I like to think of this as our annual convention. Everybody coming together, all of us getting together for hunting season, and you find yourself, stopped on a dirt road next to another pickup, talking to somebody through the driver's window, sitting by a campfire, just staring into the flames and listening to the World Series on an AM radio. It's always so interesting to me to be up in the mountains during hunting season, but listening to the World Series on our radio at night and how the signals fade in and they go away. Then you find another station and you're listening to it. And it's weird how AM radio works. We'll be up there sitting around the campfire, and I'll be listening. I'll be in Idaho, but I'll be listening to a radio station out of Los Angeles, and then out of Phoenix, and then out of Denver, or whatever it may be. And it's just weird how that works at nighttime with AM radio. If you've never tried that, try it. It's really interesting what you can pick up. You get to meet new people during hunting season. If you're sipping on it, you might be in a bar in one of our small towns like Idaho City, Fairfield, or Pine, or something like that, having an evening whiskey well after shooting light is over, and just kind of reminiscing about the day. And, when you're out there and you're driving back and forth to your hunting spot, you'll see somebody in their camp, and you'll see they've got something hanging from the meat pole, and you can stop and see what they got and talk about the hunt. I mean, it is a great time. It truly is like our annual convention as hunters. It's a very cool time of year. And so, in the fall, after the kids go back to school and the tourists leave, we are here left to enjoy an Idaho that only locals know about, a special kind of Idaho. And I'm sure wherever you're at, especially if you live in an area that gets a large influx of tourists, it's the same for you. But at that point in time, the entire West just kind of becomes our playground until the next Memorial Day and summer vacation allows people to take those dream vacations and to come out here and see us. But having this beautiful landscape to ourselves for some time, it's a really rewarding time of year to be out there and to have that population drop back down and kind of have that to yourselves. It's my favorite time of year, no question, and I always kind of refer to it as when Idaho becomes Idaho again. So anyway, everybody, that's kind of where I'm at. That is my frame of mind right now, is this transition this morning. I couldn't think of anything better to talk to you about. I sat down and went, I am going to just pour this out onto paper. And for me, it all is combined. It all comes together. There's something about the connection, and I haven't quite defined this yet. One of these days, I'm going to try really hard to get this connection written down and make it make sense. But for me, raising cattle, raising livestock, and working the ground, working the land out here in the Intermountain West, right on the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. If you go west from us, it's Rocky Mountains all the way until you hit the Great Plains. I mean, that's just that. Until you hit Montana. Did I say west? If you go east from us, where we're at. And there's a connection there. There's a connection there. I don't know if you've ever heard the song Wildfire by Michael Martin Murphey, but I love that song this time of year. It just makes me think of the connection of, even though you're down in the valley, you're a flatlander, you're farming, you're raising livestock, whatever that may be, there's still a connection to up there in those mountains and to that weather and to paying attention to the climate and the weather and everything that's going on. I really, really do enjoy it. So hopefully you're all just as excited about fall as I am. Hopefully you're enjoying it and you're ready for winter, or you're getting close to being ready for winter. And I am always enjoying doing this and talking to all of you. And again, there is a connection here. One of these days I will put my finger on how the two are connected. I can just feel it. I know it's there. But hey, everybody, as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.